Welcome to the Link edition this week. We promise and keep on our promise of giving you information you can use and opportunities here on the Link. And the Link is sponsored by or brought to you by Standard Chartered Bank, the Premium Bank, the biggest online bank I think in Uganda, and also they have ventured into special products which we shall mention a little bit later. Welcome to the Link again, and my guest tonight is Mr. Denis Kakembo, who is a business lawyer, specializes in oil and gas and issues of taxation. And tonight we are speaking about what they call a fixed term contract. We're talking about contracts, but employment contracts, a fixed term contract. Mr. Denis Kakembo, welcome.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you for inviting me.
I know you have been here before, so welcome again.
Yes, it's always a pleasure being here at NTV.
All right. So, fixed term contract, this is between employer and employee. What are we talking about?
A fixed term employment contract is one where the duration of employment is known. So many times when you enter into an employment relationship, you know the point of start, but you don't know the point of end. But with a fixed term employment contract, you know that I have a 1-year contract starting 1st of Jan and terminating 31st of December. So that is a fixed term employment contract.
I have seen employers move from the non-fixed to a fixed term. Why do employers prefer, especially these days, to move that way?
Now, first and foremost, in the legal space in which I participate in, one of the most litigated matters is employment. Oh, yes. And within employment, the most litigated matter is anytime an employment relationship ends, chances are that the employee is going to run to the labor office, and the matter does not even stop at the labor office. It ends up being referred to in the industrial court. And the reason that usually comes up at that point in time is whether when the employment relationship was ending, it was ended fairly and justly. That is the main concern that we address. Now, with a fixed term employment relationship, the duration of the employment is known. So if I choose not to renew your employment relationship, chances are that you're not going to come up and say that I unfairly or unjustly ended the employment relationship. More to that, in the economic times in which we live, times of rationalizing resources, or where resources are just for a fixed period of time, even for your manpower planning, you know that for this year, this is the amount of money that I have for this particular role. Now, a fixed term employment contract exactly serves that purpose. Project related works. And I have a 2-year project, and these are the employees I need. So why not make it a fixed term employment contract? Secondly, you can also have a fixed term employment contract when you're having a cover, short-term cover. Maybe some of your staff on maternity leave, you have some staff who are sick, you have some staff who have gone away on study leave, but you need the work to carry on.
You're filling in for them.
So you're filling in for them, and you fill in for them by having that. Then secondly, I think, rather thirdly, also I think from a motivation point of view, I think psychologically, when you know you have an open-ended contract, you may relax as an employee. But here, if you know that I have a fixed term employment contract which can be renewed subject to performance, it keeps you in check. And that way, it's a benefit for both. The employer,
you're on the edge.
The employer gets the best out of you in terms of performance, but also you're sure that if you perform well, your contract is going to be renewed. That
makes sense. Now, in your submission earlier, you seem to imply that the non-fixed contracts can be more acrimonious sometimes. Let's discuss the rights. In the case of a fixed term contract, let me say 1 year, 2 years, what are the rights of the employer and the employee?
I think even before I go into that, you know, we've spoken about a non-fixed and a fixed, but I think we can also talk about a probationary contract. Usually when you've just been signed up in a place of work, the contract that is offered to you, if it's not a fixed one, they'll tell you that maybe 3 months is for probationary period. If you perform well and ace, you're going to be retained, confirmed. So that usually works with the non-fixed or open-ended. But for a fixed contract, term contract, there's no probationary period. As long as you're onboarded and you have 12 months, you start immediately. The day you sign, you start. You start. There's no way of testing to see whether you're fit for purpose. You're there for 12 months until when the contract lapses. Unlike a non-fixed contract where you can initially be onboarded on probation. It's not a must, but you must do probation. But if the employer chooses to do that, they can put you on probation, but that probation must not exceed 6 months. If it's to exceed 6 months, subject to you agreeing with the employer, it can be renewed for a further period of not exceeding 6 months, but it's got to be mutual and consensual. Now, when an employment relationship is being ended, for fixed term employment contract, you know the duration. You know that when the time lapses, my contract has ended. If the time has not lapsed, but either of us would like to step out, there's what we call ending it by way of notice. So you could say that I can end this fixed term employment contract by me as an employee giving you maybe a week's notice, or you as an employer giving me a week's notice. Now when you go to a non-fixed or a permanent contract, the duration, the periods within which you can end an employment relationship are not entirely determined by contract. But if you're to have maybe an organizational manual, that manual must conform to the law. Like for instance, if you've worked for someone for a year, it's expected that if an employer wants to ensure that you leave the work, they have to give you 2 weeks notice. If you've worked more than a year, but up to 5 years, it's got to be a year. Then if you work between 5 to 10 years, you find that it becomes 2 years or more than 2 years. But in the employment relationship, many times, for non-fixed contract, many of those requirements are not complied with. And at the point of firing someone, it tends to be emotionally charged. People act with emotion as opposed to conformity with what the law is. So you find that someone comes and fires you at the spur of the moment. Without thinking, you know. But you need to comply with the law. You need to recall that for how long someone has worked with you. So there's that difference. A fixed term contract, you know, the notice, it's contractually set out, or when the time lapses, while for a non-fixed contract, you must comply with a minimum that the law sets out. More to that, there's also what we call a summary dismissal. You know, when you commit gross misconduct or a fundamental breach of your right to perform work, an employer is entitled to summarily let you go, either by giving you less notice or not even giving you notice at all. But how that must be done must conform within the law. And conformity within the law, you have to conduct a hearing. Now, the process of conducting a hearing or disciplinary proceedings, disciplinary committee, they call it in some companies, it's beset with a lot of challenges. An employee can allege bias, it was not conducted well, the ABCD. So it becomes a lot harder when you're going to terminate someone under a non-fixed contract. Yet for a fixed contract, if you see that instead of firing this person summarily under a fixed contract, it's likely to escalate into adjudication. You can choose to see out the contract. Let them burn down their time until it's done. I will not renew it. Yet under a non-fixed term contract, the process of divorcing the employment relationship, even if you handle it very well, chances are that it's more complicated. Yes, it's a lot more complicated. So some employers are actually going that way. To avoid headache. Avoid headache, and then managing compliance with the law. You wouldn't want to be an employer who every time, whenever you let someone go, you end up in papers so and so has fired ABCD, this one has sued you. It burns down your reputation.
Then are there areas of contention for the fixed contract, or it's all clear according to you guys, your experience?
There are also areas of concern and contention and a fixed term contract, and some of those issues might arise where a contract, okay, sometimes the contracts are not well drafted. Secondly, there are times when employers do not keep track of when the contract expires. So the contract is expiring 31st of December, but the next week the employee still comes to work. You continue to give that employee work. No one is following up to see what the contract says. So under the law, if a contract has expired, but within a week, is it 5 days or a week, you do not notify the other party that you're not going to renew the contract, and the person continues to work, the presumption is that
you have extended.
Not even an extension, that you've now taken on this person on permanent basis.
Wow.
So if you turn around and then suggest that please leave, you can easily find yourself challenged as a result of that. So that is an issue employers sometimes miss. And then also there are instances when you say that this contract is going to be renewed subject to performance, or you subject to evaluation. Maybe in the first year, indeed you did an evaluation and the contract was renewed. But in the second year, you do not do the process. Now, because of what happened in the first year, you'll have created an expectation, a legitimate expectation on the part of the employee that, the last time my contract was renewed, I did an evaluation. So even in the second year, probably that is what should happen. So sometimes those contracts subject to performance or renewal, if they are not handled well, you can also find yourself in a pitfall where even though you've said the contract has lapsed, an employee still challenges that. And you part away with some monies.
Very interesting. I've just been in class myself. Thank you very much, Counsel Denis Kakembo, business lawyer, also an expert in the oil and gas from Crystal Advocates. We told you here, we give you information you can use, and where are you going to find that information if you don't come here? We bring experts like him to share some knowledge with us. We hope we added value to you on the situation of a fixed term contract. If you want to go back and watch this conversation, you will find it online on our YouTube channel, NTV, youtube.com/NTV Uganda. This show was brought to you by Standard Chartered Bank, and they're bankrolling us to make sure we bring you information you can use. That was the link. Thank you for joining us tonight.